Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Lizzie Saka from Malawi, and in today's video I'd like to show you how to make a celebratory drink, a drink that's so versatile, is found in many of our celebrations and even at home when we're just relaxing. So our weather right now is that we are coming off the cold season and we'll soon be going into a very hot season. So this drink, we usually drink it during the hot season, and then we also drink it in weddings, sometimes at unveiling ceremonies of tombstone unveiling, and it's just versatile that we take it almost in every other celebration in Malawi. This drink is called Toba, and for us to make it, we just need water, and we need whole maize flour and sprouted millet flour. Sometimes we use sprouted sorghum or sprouted maize. I think this version, our Malawian version, in other countries they have Maheu, but ours we call it Toba. So you need to put water to the boil, not to the boil, but water should be hot. Once the water is hot, then you should make a paste. So I'm just going to make a paste. I'm going to make a paste here. So I'll take the whole maize flour and I'm going to put it in cold water, and I'm just going to make sure that I make a slurry, which I'm going to put in the hot water to make a porridge. There are no measurements. For those of you that like measurements, there are no measurements. I'll just be eyeballing it based on my experience. I don't want to make it too scientific, but I'm sure that if you can follow the process, you can make a decent Toba. We have our slurry. This is a cold slurry. We've put the gaiwa in the cold water, and make sure that it doesn't have any lumps. You don't want your Toba to have lumps. It's not desirable to drink because this is a drink. Now that it's ready, we are going to put it in the hot water. You can see those lumps dropping in there. Now what is remaining is for us to just be stirring this until it starts to boil. What you want to do is to have a porridge that's not too hard nor too thin, of medium consistency. So should it be too thin for us, then we can always add in another cold slurry, what we call kukantirira in Chichewa. Okay, so I'd like to give a disclaimer. This is not a drink that you make in a short moment. It's a long process. It has a lot of there's a lot of waiting times in between. So there are two ways of making the Toba. There is what is known as the Tumbuka Toba, and then there's what is known as the Chewa Toba. What differentiates these two is that in the Tumbuka Toba, when you cook it, it is ready the same day. So you make sure that you cook the porridge until it is completely cooked, like you're going to drink it. And then once it is at that stage, you're going to put in your sprouted millet flour. But in the Chewa Toba, you only partially cook the porridge. So what I'm doing is the Chewa Toba. I'm going to partially cook my porridge, not let it to completely cook. So maybe once it starts boiling, it's only going to boil for 20 minutes and not more than 30 minutes. Once it is done the boiling, then we are going to cool it. Later, we are going to put in the millet flour, but we are going to recook this porridge tomorrow after 8 hours of fermentation. So that is the differentiating characteristic of these two tobas. It's been 5 minutes of stirring. It has not yet started boiling. For now, it looks like it will come together quite well. Remember that when you're doing this, ukamakandira phala limeneli silifunika likhale la madzi kwambiri, lisakhale lolimba kwambiri, koma likhale pakatikati. Why we don't want it to be too watery is because sprouted millet flour has a thinning effect when you put it in later. So it means that the toba is going to be too watery, it's not going to be nice. Yeah. So you don't want the porridge to be too thick, and nor should it be too thin. When it is too thin, then when you put in the sprouted millet flour, which has a thinning effect, the porridge is going to be too watery. You not like it. And when it is too thick, we know that the sprouted millet flour is going to thin it somewhat, but later when you're recooking it, it's going to go back to its original state. So you don't also want that. What you want is a medium-sized thickness or consistency. So I think this is going to do it. You have to be patient because it requires you to do a lot of stirring. So I've been stirring for close to 5 minutes now, maybe more than that. And it's not yet started boiling and it's not yet started coming together. Yeah. Here we are now. This is how the porridge is looking. I will let it boil so that I can see what the consistency is when it is boiling. Then I will make a decision whether I need to put in some more cold slurry or I should let it boil like that. So if it is boiling like this, you can see it's sort of like making some waves. It means that the porridge is too thin, but what we want is an active boiling of kata 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 like that. So it means here we need to add in a bit more flour. And because this is already hot, we can't put in just flour like that to form lumps. So I'm going to make the cold slurry just as I did before. I'll put flour in here and some cold water and form a cold slurry. Here I'm making the cold slurry for me to put back into the porridge because the porridge is too soft. As I indicated, you don't want you can see that the way it's boiling is not the way that we want it. It's sort of like forming waves. We don't want that. So I'm going to put in the hot slurry to try and make the porridge thicken. Yeah, now we are getting there. The porridge is thickening. That's where we want it to be. Not too runny and not too thick either. Just in the middle. Break all the lumps that are there. We don't want any lumps. Should be a smooth porridge. Talking about not too thick, not too thin. This is the right consistency. We'll let the porridge boil. As I said, it's not going to be a complete cooking, it's a partial cooking because we'll cook this again tomorrow. Yeah, so tilisiya kuti liwire phalali about 20 minutes. Tizingobwera kuzapanga check kuti kodi pano zafika pati. After 20 minutes, tiliphula to let it cool and proceed with the other processes. But this is the consistency that we've been looking for. Here is the porridge boiling. This is the type of boiling that we're looking for, an active boil. And the moment that these boiling circles or bubbles reach this point and the whole of the surface is boiling, that's where we want to get to. But as I said, we are not completely cooking this porridge. It's a partial cook So we don't want it to completely cook because we know that later there's another cooking that we are doing. Right. It's been 20 minutes now, so we would like to take this thing off the fire. Please be careful when you're doing this. This is very, very hot porridge. We have taken it off and we just let it cool. This is going to be a long process. It's going to be a long wait. We'll let it cool in here, or we can put it in a different vessel. I think it depends on the heat, the amount of heat that has got into the porridge. But you can heat it up to, if we're using a thermo to measure the temperature, until 40 degrees Celsius. But where you don't have a thermometer and you're just using the local methods, then until when you put the pinky in, this last one, when you put it in, you can leave it in there for maybe 10 seconds, 20 seconds without getting burnt. That's the right temperature for you to do the next process. So we want to transfer this porridge into this pot. This is an earthenware pot. It's Mthibi in our local language. Mthibi in Tumbuka Msuko. So the cooling process that I was talking about will take place in this Mthibi. I've just acquired it, so I want it to get used to heat and temperature changes. That's why I'm doing that. Don't worry about the porridge that's meandering over there. Once we are done, we are going to wipe it off, and then the hygiene is going to be maintained. Wow, this is a lot of Toba. I think it's about 15 liters. Toba. Can you come closer and show the people how it's looking? So this is how it's looking. Wait for it to cool down. It's going to be many hours of waiting for it to cool down to 40 degrees Celsius. And after once it's reached the 40 degrees Celsius, then I'm going to put in malted millet flour. So now we have to clean that up. So we are here. This is the porridge. You can see that it has formed a skin on top. That's the skin on top. So just be checking it on 30-minute intervals. It's been 30 minutes since I decanted the porridge and put it in here. So to facilitate the cooling, we'll be stirring this at 30-minute intervals. Yeah, as you can see, because of the shape of the vessel that we are using in, it doesn't have a lot of surface area that can facilitate quick cooling. So instead, we have to help the porridge lose its heat by stirring this frequently. And then also what that helps is that for the porridge not to completely solidify. As you know that starch slurries, when they are cooling, they have a tendency to retrograde. And when they do the retrogradation, or the, what can I say in a normal language, or when it is cooling, it is going to solidify. It tends to solidify and form a thick slurry. What should I say that? I hope so. Yeah, so what we are doing is trying to prevent that. So at 30-minute intervals, we're going to come and do the stirring. So since this was full, I have some also here in this smaller vessel, and I'm going to also stir that. until we reach the temperatures that we're talking about. The target temperature is 40 degrees Celsius. Tufuna kuti phalalirizizire mpaka lifike pamene kuti tikayikamo kachala kathu kakumapetoka. Aka kachala kakumapeto tikayikamo tisamamve kutentha kuti ayo uthawitsa mkono. It means pamenepo ndio tafika pa 40 degrees Celsius. Tikafika pamenepo poti tikayika kachala aka sikakupya nditi tingano mawere aja kapena chimene chija kuthiramo. That's what we are aiming for. So it's going to be a long process of stirring until it reaches the right temperature. Tukunenanso kuti chinthu chimene tayikamochi it's not wide enough. Chilibe mlomo waukulu kuti chizilowesa mpweya uzizira umene uthandizire kuti zinthu zizizire mwachangu. Ndipo chifukwa chimene chifukwa ketu umatakasa pafupi. Every 30 minutes tizibwera kuzapanga check. Yeah. It's been about 2 hours of cooling. And this is what I was talking about, that the starch slurries have a tendency kupanga ngati nkute kugwirana. So what we call retrogradation, and it has happened here. That porridge which was flowing is no longer flowing as it should. But this is not a big worry for us, because when we put the malt flour, the millet, the sprouted millet flour, it's going to thin this porridge. So I told you about the measuring our thermal. So I want to see if this porridge, so this is what we do. I'm going to count up to 10. And if I still feel I can't reach 10, it means the porridge is still very hot. But we are getting closer. So we'll wait for maybe 30 more minutes, we'll check on it, and then we are ready to put on the malt flour. There is still heat. This is still too hot. And if we put flour, you may be asking why do we need the temperature to reach 40 degrees? The 40 degrees is quite crucial for the natural bacteria and yeast which are found in the malted flour. They work well at around that temperature. So if you put your malt flour at temperatures that are higher than 40, then you are likely going to kill those microorganisms, those yeast and bacteria that are in the malt. So once they are killed, it means that the fermentation process cannot take place. But what we want is to create a conducive environment that is going to foster the growth of the microorganisms, the lactic acid bacteria, and some yeast which are found in malts. Right. In the same vein, we have this porridge which we also put, because it was too full in the earthenware pot in the Toba. I put some porridge in here. This one looks like it has reached the temperature. Actually, it's too cold for us to inoculate it. So we don't want the temperature that's too cold. We also don't want the temperature that's too hot, but optimal. So there is a solution for this. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to boil a kettle of water. I'm going to put here so that, one, I thin out the porridge, and also two, so that the temperature is one that I'm desiring. I have thinned out the porridge with the hot water as I described. This is my malt. This is the chimera. And this is millet, sprouted millet flour, malt from millet. And now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it in my smaller vessel. And stir that until the malt flour is well incorporated. And slowly it is thinning. As I said, that malt has a thinning effect on the porridge. See, so we are inoculating with the malt, and we are inoculating at 40 degrees Celsius, as I've already described. If you do not have a thermal, for us to know that we have reached the 40 degrees Celsius is when we put in our smaller finger, just the way we used to measure mazo sambisiramana. And if we can comfortably put in the smaller finger without getting bent, that's the right temperature. And for you to know if the yeast or the malt that you're using is active, you see by when you're stirring, you see some bubbles. Yeah, those bubbles that you're seeing there, can you put so that those bubbles, when I stir, there will be some bubbles like that. That shows that the malt is active. So now we are on to the big pot, and in the big pot too, we'll do the same test. It's still hot, so because of that, I'll just keep stirring it for the next 10 minutes until it reaches the right temperature. The other way to measure it is to touch the vessel. Sometimes it can also tell you if it is hot or it is not so hot. Yeah. So once we put in the malt, we have inoculated the porridge and we've stirred it. We will now be stirring it in the beginning every 15 minutes just to see how it's getting on. Then later, once every 30 minutes, then maybe once an hour. And when you're sure, mostly by 15 minutes or 20 minutes, you would have known if the Toba is going to be good or not, because by that time it will already, if your malt is active, it will already be showing signs that the lactic acid bacteria has started working, right? Yeah, so it will already start getting sweet. Yeah, now it has started getting sweet. Now I'm just tasting on my hand. There's just a small hint of sweetness, but as time goes, that sweetness develops. As the fermentation process is going on, then also the sweetness is developing further and further. We'll go back to our pot. This pot thing is not a good idea, okay? Because as you can see from the shape of the pot, the bottom at the bottom the porridge is still very hot, while at the top the porridge is getting cooler. So I thought that I was going to inoculate this one as well, but no, it's not like that, because at the bottom it's quite hot. So if I inoculate it, it means that it's going to do what I told you about, that it's not going to be good Toba. So I'm continuing to stir it now so that the heat is evenly distributed, and then I can also maybe quicken the process. But next time, I'm not doing it in this pot. I'm going to do it elsewhere, and once it is done, I'm going to put it in the earthenware pot. Now we have reached the temperature, and we are going to inoculate this, just as we did the other smaller vessel. I'll just put that and then see how far it's gonna go. Now, for you people who like measurements, when I'm doing this Toba, I have no measurement of the malt, of how much malt I'm putting. I want to put until it is well mixed. I don't want the malt to be sparse. I want it to be enough. But the definition of enough is very difficult in this case. What is enough? Is it 1 cup? Is it 2 cups? is it one hand? Very difficult, because as I said, I'm just eyeballing it. When I find that the porridge is looking like this, once I add in the malt, then I know that that is enough for me. So it will depend also on the quantity of the porridge that you have. So that's why the measurement is not definite. Okay, so you can see that the porridge thickened, and as you add the malt, it will start thinning. It wasn't flowing at the beginning, now it has started flowing, and the malt I think is not enough, so I'm going to add in some more. I'm going to add some more. There's a story about people's hands. Okay, it is alleged, I don't know if it is true, it is alleged that there are those people who have good hands and there are people who have bad hands. So if you have your Toba and you have someone with good hands inoculated, it's going to be sweet. It's going to be a sweet brew. But if you have someone with the bitter hands, well, let's not call them bad hands, but bitter hands. If someone with bitter hands inoculates your Toba, instead of the Toba being Toba, it's going to be beer. It's not going to be sweet. It's going to be, it will ferment quicker, and instead of it being sweet, it's going to become alcoholic. I'm yet to test this theory. I don't know how far true it is, right? And I had a nanny who always refused to put malt in my Toba, because apparently the moment she does that, then it's going to become beer. It's going to become bitter, and it becomes opaque. It becomes like masese. Masese is a type of beer in Malawi. Yeah, so that's about inoculation. So be careful the person you let to inoculate your sweet brew, because it can become beer in no time based on their hands. So me being a scientist, I'll put this theory to test one day. We'll have a known amount of porridge, a known amount of inoculant for people to use, and see how the Toba is going to come out. You can see that that porridge, which was so thick, is now completely thinned out. So this is the effect that malted flours have on porridge slurries, starch slurries. I think I've put enough. I don't think I should put in some more. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to just put in one more hand. One more hand.
It's getting hotter.
And that should do it. Yeah, so let's put the hand, one more hand, and this is how it looks. That's the close-up. That's how it looks. It's such a long process, it's such a lengthy process, but it's worth it. It's so worth it, because once the brew is done, tomorrow when we do the recooking or the reboiling, then it is ready to drink. At this moment, it's not ready to drink because we want it to ferment. Now, there's this one key for you to know, is that the timing of the cooking of the Toba is critical, because the fermentation process usually takes between 8 to 12 hours. So you don't want to do it during the day, because it will give you too much stress. But the best time that you can do this is between in the afternoon hours. Yeah, because as you can see, We cooked it for about 30-40 minutes. That is the whole cooking time. And then we let it cool. And the cooling has taken almost 2 or 3 hours. So if you're adding that time, it means that now we are almost, what's the time now? It's almost about 5 or half 5.
It's 2 to 5.
Okay, so it's close to 5 o'clock. So if we count 8 hours, up to 12 hours, when we wake up in the morning around 6, the fermentation process should be over. It will be continuing, but we will have to cut it short. Yeah, so we want the fermentation process to take place overnight. That's how you should time it, so that overnight the fermentation process is done, and when you wake up in the morning, you can recook your toba. But when you do it in the morning, then the 8 hours may reach around 4. Then you have to start recooking, and what is going to be too much work for you. We are going to do one final thing that is recommended. We are taking a little bit of malt and we just sprinkle it on top after we are done inoculating it. Yeah, that's it. We are going to check on it in 8 hours time or in 12 hours time. So that will be tomorrow morning. But along the night, before I sleep, before I go to bed, I'm going to come and see if the fermentation is taking place. And if fermentation is taking place, there's going to be some bubbles on top. So I'm expecting to see some bubbles as time goes, as a sign that fermentation is taking place. If you like these videos, like, share, leave us a comment, and even better, give the recipes a try. And also visit our YouTube channel, Bake with Lizzie Saga, and check out what other recipes we have there. Bye. Well, it's been 12 hours. This is 5 a.m. And this is how the Toba looks. This is a sign that fermentation has taken place. And this porridge or this Toba is ready to be recooked. As I told you yesterday, in this process, as I said previously, in the type of toba that I'm making is the one that we do a partial cooking of the porridge, inoculate it with the malt, and let fermentation happen, and then afterwards we do another recooking. So this second recooking, which we are doing after the fermentation process, is to one, make sure that that porridge that we cooked yesterday is now cooked properly as a toba here, and then also is like a pasteurization. We are pasteurizing the toba to stop the fermentation process. However, as you know, pasteurization is not sterilization. So even though you recook the porridge, if you do not cool the porridge in the refrigerator, or you put it in a cool place, the fermentation process is going to still continue, because this is just pasteurization. So now I'm just going to put this in a pot and we are going to recook it. Here we are now to pasteurize the toba, or to recook the toba, and we'll be required to be stirring this, because at some point it will start to sort of like foam. I noticed that my toba has thickened. Even after fermentation, it looks thicker. There are some people that love it as a thick porridge like this, but there are others who like it thinner. So it depends on preference. I was talking about the pasteurization or the recooking that we are doing here. We are going to cook this porridge until once it starts boiling, it will start forming on top. And as soon as the foam collects at the side, it stops to form and the foam collects on the sides, it means that the porridge has been cooked or the toba has been cooked, and we should stop the cooking. After it has cooked, if the toba is too thick for you, that's where you do now the thinning. You can add in hot water, not cold water, please. You can add in hot water. But what I find that does is it dilutes the taste of the toba. Yes, it dilutes the taste of the toba. So I'm going to get on with the process. Let the things boil until I'm going to catch up with you later when it has started boiling. So the porridge takes time to boil. This is how it's looking after more than 10 minutes of putting it to the boil. This is our toba after fermentation. Remember that we are recooking this toba as part of pasteurization to kill some of the microorganisms responsible for fermentation. However, because it's pasteurization, there are some microorganisms that may not be killed by the process of cooking, or they may not be denatured by the process of cooking because they are denatured at a higher temperature than the one that we're using here. So it is not a guarantee that because you've pasteurized the toba or partial step pasteurization of the toba, then it is not going to continue fermentation. It will continue fermenting as long as you put it on temperatures that are enabling. Okay, so once it starts to boil, all this is going to go. Just going to stir this. Once we know that the end line, or at the end, for us to know that the toba has been cooked, is when all this foam has disappeared. So we are aiming for a complete disappearance of the foam, or until just a little of it is remaining. I don't know if the camera is capturing that well. Yeah, so that's it. That's when we are going to take this off the fire. So as you can see, we started with a pot full. When we were starting cooking, the pot was full, but it it reduced because of the cooking process. And now after the reboiling, it's also going to reduce further, maybe to somewhere here. So make sure that if you are aiming for a particular quantity, you should take these things in account, that as you're cooking it, it's going to reduce in size. If you like these videos, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bake with Lizzie Saka, and also try out the recipes and let us know how you found using the recipes. We have an active boiling of the porridge, of the toba, and as you can see, the foam is reducing in size. And I say that we know that the toba has cooked when that foam completely disappears. So we don't want the toba to have any foam whatsoever on top. Then we are sure that this toba lapia. The dangers of having toba losapia, or the toba that has not been cooked properly, is that it causes people to open bowels. It can cause diarrhea. We don't want that to happen. So from a food safety point of view, what we are doing here is we are also making sure that the toba is safe to drink without causing anyone any stomach problems and also causing diarrhea. So that is why foods must be cooked properly. Foods must be cooked to the point that they are safe to consume. So twofold, we want the Toba to taste good, and also because we want it to be safe for consumption. Now, Toba is quite good. You can feed it to children, to small children, because it's packed with probiotics, it's packed with nutrients because of the fermentation process that we had undergone. Remember that we used sprouted flour and then we also did fermentation. These processes have been known to enhance the nutritional profile of foods, and we also know that fermentation helps to bring probiotics for gut health. So whereas this is a local product, while it is something that we just look at, it's underrated because it's traditional, it's underrated, but it is packed with good nutrients. And the other good thing is that when you feed it to children, they don't have to chew because this is a drink. They'll drink it. So instead of you giving your children enjoy, instead of you giving them these drinks that are laced with unsafe sugars and unsafe sweeteners and flavorings, you can give them this traditional drink, which is easy to make, and it can be made with locally available resources. Here we are. The Toba has been boiling for quite some time. It's close to an hour now, and the foam which was on top has reduced. It has accumulated over there. I don't know if you can see it. Here it is over here. Yeah, so tikunena kuti mukamaphikitsa Toba, tikuphikitsa ndi cholinga chokuti Toba lija paja sitinaliphikise kwambiri, phala silidapse kuti phala lilipse. Kenaka tikuphikitsanso ngati njira yokuti tipangisire majeremusi amene amapangisa fermentation, amapangisa kuti Toba likhale Toba lisase, tukhanga tikusasise kuti lisase. Majeremusi amenewo tifuna kuti asapitirire kugwira ntchito, kotero kuti ndifake tikuwirisa. Komabe chifukwa chokuti kuwirisa uku sikuli ngati kuwirisa kumene timawirisa kopheratu zirombo zonse, kumene pa chizungu timati sterilization. Toba ali tikakalisiya potentha likapitirizabe kutani, likapitirizabe kutuma. Ndi tikalisiya kwa nthawi yayitali limasanduka nomowa, it becomes alcoholic. So ndikwabwino kuti tikaphikisa chonchi Toba lilapsa, muliyike mabotolo, mukalisire mozizira mu fridge, kuti pa nthawi imene mwalifunalo muzima. Komanso fridge cooling is one of the ways of stopping or reducing activities of microorganisms and other enzymes. Ndithudi Toba lathu lafika pamenepa, ndipo tiziphulapo mpano chifukwa chokuti lapsa. Tikapitiriza pande kuti kwina kono lizingophwera, palibeponso chosiyana chimene chitachitike. This is where we have reached at. If you like these videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bake with Lizzie Saka, like, share, and leave us a comment. Also, give the recipes a try and tell us how you found using them. Bye. We have been boiling our Toba for quite some time now, close to an hour. This is a recooking process aimed at denaturing microorganisms, yeast and lactic acid bacteria, denaturing them so that they do not continue to cause fermentation of the Toba. And as I said, we needed to, I don't know if we can see properly, there's some smoke coming out of this. So this is the point we have reached. All that foam has gone, and it's just a small patch over there. this small patch is not going to end. So this point is we know that this toba is cooked. Also, we can taste it organoleptically, that is by drinking it. Just drinking it, and it tells us that the toba is done. So this toba is done. You can see we started with a pot full, and by the time we do our recooking, it's almost a quarter of the porridge, a quarter of the toba has gone. This toba is very sweet, and I invite you to come over, have a drink. I love to drink it when it's hot, and so I'm going to have a half cup of it, drink it, enjoy it before it cools down. If you like these videos, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Bake with Lizzie Saka, and also give the recipes a try and leave us a comment in the comment section. Bye. Bye. So the toba is ready, and we are ready to put it in our nsuko. Yeah. So this is how we used to do it in the village. The toba is going to be put in the nsuko and until it gets cold, and everyone will just be taking it from there. Yeah, so we just put it there. This is our refrigerator. If you guys want the toba, you can come by for a drink, come for a cup. Mommy has made very good Aliamo toba. As I said, I love hot toba as compared to cold one. So I'm going to get a cup from here and enjoy it while it's still hot. So here we are. This is our toba. We started with about 15 liters. Now we are down to 10 liters, I think. And I'm just going to have my own hot toba. I'm just going to put it into my mug. I'm going to sit down and enjoy my mug of hot toba. If you like these videos, subscribe, share, like, and give the recipes a try. You'll be so happy that you engage in this labor of love. Bye.